Hi, everyone. My name is Kelsey Potdevin. I'm a tribal justice facilitator at Alaska Native Justice Center. I have lived and worked on Dena'ina land since 2014. I'm a tribal citizen of Native Village of Tanana, and I was raised in Juneau. My grandparents are Flora and Henry Cochrane and Ruth and Bob Potdevin. And it's an honor to be here today to share some of the resources that we have collected with everyone on the line. And I've really enjoyed listening and hearing updates and today. So that's good. Thank you, everyone. But first, Polly and I put together this resource presentation, and I'm going to try to keep it to about 15 minutes so I can hand it over to Polly, or maybe a bit quicker. And I really encourage everyone to look at the resource guide, review what's in there, share it with others, use it yourself. It's meant to be helpful, and we hope to spread the word about these resources with everyone. And so we wanted to put together something that would offer solutions that could help empower people with knowledge for resources that I guess regarding MMIP. And we know that there isn't any one resource for this issue. This is a constellation of services to address different types of risk factors or resources for healing. So I'm going to address the more urgently needed resources in many different types of situations where someone has been victimized or they're a survivor or their family needs assistance. And then Polly is going to share more about services that are Native led and there to aid in healing and safety. So I will get started first with Alaska Native Justice Center services. And just want to remind everyone that ANJC is a resource for you. It's there for everyone. Our services are geared towards serving the Alaska Native community, but everyone is welcome. We have a new intake process that can help connect you with the kinds of services. And if we can't help with that issue, we can offer warm referrals. And we think about our practice areas in two different ways. We have our services for people. We also have our services to Alaska tribes. So that's the broad way you can think about it. So for our services to people, we have a survivor services program that can offer legal representation for victims of domestic violence and sexual assault and other kinds of crime. And I did hear something I really liked a few weeks ago from another service provider who said that domestic violence intervention and investigation is homicide prevention work. And so sometimes I like to think of it that way. So those are some of the services that we offer here at ANJC. If you are a victim survivor of DV, sexual assault, stalking, dating violence, anything like that, I encourage you to reach out if you haven't received services, if you need services, if you just need someone to talk to. We're also ramping up our work with elder victims of crime. We offer legal education in the form of pro se clinics for family law needs. We also have adult and youth restorative justice or reentry programs that serve mainly Southcentral Alaska and just the Anchorage area for youth. We are also offering assistance with variances, and so that's helping people who have barrier crimes to get access to trainings or jobs. And so those are just some of our services to people. We also we have highly trained case managers who can assist victim survivors and also their families. So I just want to mention that it's not just the survivor. We can also have different ways we can help families out or helping them with referrals. And generally, our survivor services program provides case management and support to individuals. And that can be help with just going through the legal process, help going to court, helping apply to the Victims of Crime Compensation Board. So things like that. And once again, we have a referral system. If you are interested in accessing ANJC services, I recommend you go online first and fill out the form. If you also want to talk to someone, you can call us directly. We have our contact information on the form. You'll probably talk to Destiny. She's one of our staff members at the front desk, and she'll help you out with accessing this form. And let you know, if it's an urgent situation, you can possibly talk to one of our intake case managers that same day. So just trying to get people as the right kind of help as quickly as we can. All right, so the next part of my presentation, I'm going to offer some additional types of services. So once again, these are focused mostly on urgent needs related to sexual assault response, finding shelter, support for victims, legal services, support for kids, and also additional places that you can visit to learn more about services offered, and also crisis lines. So on this page, we have Standing Together Against Rape. So that is urgent response and resources for sexual trauma for survivors. They also operate a crisis line, which I'll show again. And all this information, I'm running through it pretty fast, is available in that resource packet. So don't worry if you miss any of this. The next one I've got on here is Shelter in Anchorage, the Abused Women's Aid in Crisis, or the Awake Shelter. So they offer a DV safe shelter intervention and prevention for men, women, and children. They also have a crisis line. All right, we have Victims for Justice on here, and they are an organization that's there to stand with victims of crime. A lot of times after someone has been victimized or there's been a crime committed against them, there's very little support. And it can be a harrowing experience and you don't know what to do next. So they are there to help families and survivors with emotional, financial, and also court support. The next resource on here is the ANDVSA legal program. So ANDVSA works to support domestic violence and sexual assault programs in Alaska. So that might be how you're most familiar with them, but they also offer pro bono attorney services in addition to all the advocacy and resources that they put together. So that's another legal service opportunity beyond what we offer at Alaska Native Justice Center or what you might find at Alaska Legal Services Corporation. This next resource is for children, Alaska Cares. It's housed at Providence. This helps children who have been abused and provides compassionate care. And it really is like there's lots of different types of professionals working at Alaska Care. So it's law enforcement, child protection, tribal health, forensic nursing, mental health professionals. So it's all in one place. And then this next program, the Council on Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault, they have a website that lists all sorts of different victim services that we might not have covered today. And so I encourage folks to check that out. So victim services, behavioral health, sexual assault response, and more. All right, so as promised, here are some more of the crisis lines, and we felt it was important to emphasize the Alaska-based lines. So this is not an extensive list of all of the crisis lines that are out there. The first one is the Awake Shelter. The next one is Standing Together Against Rape, and these are confidential lines, and you can call them free of charge, by the way. And then also the Care Line. Alaska does have a suicide prevention line. And some of these crisis lines also have chat features. So just wanted to point that out. I know Some of the younger generations are way more comfortable just texting or chatting rather than talking. All right. Also, we have the Strong Hearts Native Helpline. This is, it's a culturally specific helpline for anyone who's been impacted by domestic, dating, or sexual violence. They also have a chat option. And I heard a really nice story from another during a consultation a few weeks ago that people, were really seeking culturally specific services. That when this helpline first opened, it had limited hours, and people would wait until the next day to call because they didn't want to call the this is a Native woman and men calling this number. They didn't want to call the normal line. They wanted to talk to someone who could understand where they're coming from and just offer those culturally specific services. So we really emphasize these crisis lines that are, Indigenous specific and offering a different kind of support. All right, and then we have a list of local shelters and ways to find shelters. So there's the ANJC runs a shelter and advocacy services list. The state of Alaska also has a shelter and crisis center directory. And then also I shared this on a previous slide, the Council on Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault. And those are also listed in the packet. And what's great is that they go by community. A lot of what I've shared today is a little bit Anchorage centric. So just, these could be good resources to find someone or find yourself help when it's needed. Also, online awareness and support is critical. Almost everyone seems to have Facebook in our community, and this is, so if you're looking for support, if you're looking to raise awareness about specific cases, looking to get the word out quickly, there are many website or Facebook pages for Alaska's Missing. They're Seeking Alaska's Missing. I have a screenshot of the MMIWG2S Alaska Working Groups page. There's also Missing and Murdered in Alaska, and then also MMIWG2S. So, really, you can go onto Facebook and search for any of those. Some of them also have websites as well, like MMIWG2S, to get the word out or find support and resources and to learn about events. Okay. I hope I didn't take too long, but this is the contact information for Alaska Native Justice Center. We're ANJC.org, and then there's our email. And so now I'm going to hand it over to Polly.
Thank you, Kelsey, for starting us off. And I'll wait for Brandon to pull up the PowerPoint. Can everyone hear good? Okay, so, and thank you very much for being willing to weave through the slides for me there and provide that support. Hi, Waka, Kasatun Atcha Polly Andrews, Chuchtun Atcha na Piriuk, Chufakamiungunga, Apama Atcha Ulran Billy Andrews Outru, Mauchlu Matlu Cecilia Andrews Awuk. And so my name is Polly, and my Chupik name is Napiriuk. I come from the Chupik village of Chivak on the Bering Sea coast. I'm also Norwegian from my dad's side in the Twin Cities. And my grandparents are the late Ulran Andrews and Cecilia Andrews. And today, I'm mom to 3 beautiful children who are a part of our next generation and a part of the reason why I feel like we're all gathered here talking about healing and sharing our strength in a shared space. So I'm a learning and development training specialist with Family Wellness Warriors at Southcentral Foundation. We are an Alaska Native-led movement with the goal of returning to the strengths and values of Alaska Native and a Native American culture to build healing relationships, community connection, and resiliency to trauma. And before I begin with sharing some more Alaska Native led resources, I just want to express a big appreciation for all of the leaders who have shared today in sharing your knowledge, your heart, your experiences, and intuition, as Akpik had mentioned before. And there's a common thread that I'm noticing that I see between everyone who shared today. And that common thread is that everyone who is shared represents Native organizations that are led by Native people. And this is the picture of our people moving forward with solutions and with healing. And it's so inspirational to see that. And I want to, that's exactly the focus that I wanted to keep today as I weave through the resources with everyone. I really wanted to share the ways that Alaska Native people are standing up as warriors. We're healing our own people. We're healing our own generations. And first want to begin by highlighting some of the work of our external tribal partners across the state and share some of the ways that they're stepping into that healing work. Next slide, please. So first, I wanted to begin by highlighting some of the resources that Cook Inlet Tribal Council has to offer. There are a whole set of programs that are about building healthy families, supporting early childhood development, building skills within the family unit in ways that nurtures future generations. And, you know, if you walk into CITC, you can feel the ways that our own Native people are walking alongside families. And that's what it's all about. So there are other powerful Alaska Native programs across the state where our very own people are building curriculums based on our own values, our stories. And I wanted to share this one as an example, and that is about healthy families. And I wanted to share it because it's a framework that was created based on the stories of our elders, and it's offered through AVCP on the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta. And I remember I took this training some years ago, and as I experienced it, I got to hear the stories of our elders as they related to each of these topics on the Yupik life cycle. And at first I thought I was learning about my own Yupik and Chupik ways, but by the end of the presentation, I came to see that this was all of us. This is cross-tribal. These are the values and teachings and ways of relating to family that belong to all of us. These are indigenous, and you really realize how healing it is to learn about our own ways. So another one that I had the gift of experiencing here at Southcentral Foundation was Jalqijarak. And Jalqijarak came from Bethel in YKHC to train family wellness warriors in the Jalqijarak model. And it's a program that often travels statewide and nationally. And so Jalqijarak translates to healthy living, and you really get to immerse yourself into our values, our cultures, and our strengths in a way that reminds you that our fabric, our indigenous fabric, is beautiful, it's healing, it's holistic, it's the answer. And I remember when I took this training, you know, there was a part of the training where there was grief to visit, because pain is and can be a part of our past and history. But I also remember experiencing the healing impact of our Native values and learning about ways that we could weave them into daily life. And it was so powerful. And it's not that we've walked away from these beautiful values and these beautiful things, but it felt like my heart needed a reminder of who I am and who my family is, and that's okay. And also a reminder of the strength and the protection that has always been there. And so I wanted to transition to some of the healing services offered through Southcentral Foundation, which is an Alaska Native owned and operated healthcare organization that serves 65,000 Alaska Native American people across Anchorage, Matsu, and 55 of our rural villages. There are over 80 programs, and I'll highlight just a few. This is the traditional healing clinic, and it's really such an example of how our own people are weaving in our traditional methods into healthcare for our people. It's an example of our people healing our people through our ways, and it works and it speaks to us. So now I'd like to share some of the healing approaches of Family Wellness Warriors, which is a program that offers trainings and learning circles that are about sharing our story and addressing cycles of generational trauma through our cultural values and our strengths. And I'll share with you how that works. So our name is Nuiju, which is a Dena'ina Athabascan word that was gifted to us. And it carries the meaning of returning to our true selves. And this is our Indigenous truth, that whole person healing is possible when we return back to the good ways of our ancestors and the good ways of our people and our teachings. And those ways have never left us. They've always been there. And Nuiju also recognizes that it's our culture, it's our beliefs, it's our life ways. Those things are our great strength. Those things are our healing and our resilience. So our healing begins with the story behind our eyes. Each of us, no matter what tribe, where we are, what belief, we all have a story behind our eyes. And for some of us, grief and trauma might be a part of our story. And so Native people are coming together in safe spaces, and we're sharing our stories. And in that, we're breaking cycles of trauma and healing together the way that our people always have. And we can't do this without connection to our own culture. And a part of that connection happens with our elders. Elders are a strong part of why this process works and why it is safe. If you look on the third bullet there, it says elders lead the way and elders give permission. And it matters for us, the younger generation, to see that, to see our elders sharing their stories, breaking silence, opening that door for us. I remember being a participant in an Ottaga House training intensive for the first time, and I'll never forget the presence of our elders and how they shared story first and felt like a door opening so that I could share my own. And so our culture is foundational in our own healing, and we need our elders to model that and to lead in that. And it's a powerful thing. And one of the ways that healing is happening is we're calling out the warriors. And if you think about ancestral times, our warriors were the men who came before the family and came before the village to protect all of us from harm. And today we need our modern day warriors, and that's all of us. That's all of us in this room. A warrior is someone who fights for their family, who fights for their village. They fight for healing. They break cycles in their own life, and all of us can be that warrior. And it's the warrior who breaks the cycles, creates healing for the next generation. And that is so powerful that we're living out those values of our ancestors when we rise up and we can be that warrior. So one of the ways that Family Wellness Warriors does this is through training intensives and learning circles. And once again, it all goes back to our traditional values of gathering in healing ways and sharing stories and making it safe for other people to share their own and building community together. Next slide, please. So Ottaga House Intensive, it's listed there as a resource on the resource list. It's a 5-day intensive training that provides that safe place for people to share a story in a way that's peer-led, free of judgment. It's delivered through a culturally and spiritually rooted curriculum, which was written and designed by our own Native people. And it invites people who have experienced harm and both caused harm to share story and practice communication and relational skills in ways that break cycles of harm. And we know when we break cycles, we heal the next generation. Another resource, Southcentral Foundation Learning Circles. These are daily, they are open to community. And again, it's about the value of connecting in story, supporting one another, healing generationally. And these are offered daily, both in person and virtually. There are up to 80 different learning circles that are offered. These are some, just a list of some, not all, of the virtual learning circles that are available. And 3 of them that I wanted to highlight are the top 3. Generational healing is one of them. Grief and loss is another learning circle, and family is sacred. So I encourage you, if any of you are curious about these learning circles and would like to learn more, would like to share them with others in your community, feel free to contact us at that contact number there. And so tying it all together, this picture, I took this picture last week when Family Wellness Warriors got together with Partners for Progress, and we held a drum making learning circle for reentry participants who had recently re-entered back into community. And we made drums together, and after that we gathered and we shared a song and we learned a chant together. And it was so powerful when we were all standing in a circle, you know, playing our new drum that we had just made together. And one of the words that a young man shared with me that day, he said, I felt the spirit of it. It felt like a tribal exchange. And I really, when we engaged in that together, I could feel such strength and healing in the room. This was another time that we had the gift of being able to partner with Covenant House Alaska, and we held a drum making learning circle with the youth there at Covenant House. And we all got together, and over 2 work sessions, we brought our drums, we made them together, we engaged with the youth, they engaged with us. And after we made our drums, we stood in that circle together and we did a chant together and went through that a few times. You could feel that power rising up in the room. It was such a beautiful thing. And after we shared that song together, one of the youth approached me, and I'll never forget seeing that pride and excitement in his eyes when he told me what tribe he was from. He told me where his village is. And then he asked me, he goes, have you ever heard this song? And then he proceeded to sing me a song that came from his own community. And it was so beautiful watching this young person share a song that he remembered from his own hometown. And to me, that's what it's all about. You know, this is the picture of what it looks like to share our cultural strengths in ways that heals the next generation. And that's powerful. And this is us, you know, living out Nuiju. This is us returning back to our true selves. And with that, I just want to say a big Koyana Chuknuk for the invitation to to share some of our own people's healing ways and what that looks like to ripple across our people today. And Koyana Akpik for moderating and bringing us all together in this shared healing space.
Ayana